Hi guys, it's Terry. Or I guess I should say, hey, how y'all doing? And of course, if you saw my last video, that the answer to that is fine. And this is another video in the Southern Tradition series because I felt it was time to do one of those. And this one is going to be about Southern colloquialisms. In other words, things that you hear in my neck of the woods in the South. And I need to make that caveat because the South is a really big area. As I spoke about last time, it's pretty much the entire lower right quadrant of the map. So you've got everything from Texas to Northern Virginia, which is right outside of Washington, D.C., to down in the south of Alabama, all the way to the end of the tip of Florida, heading toward Cuba, no less. So it's a big region. And because it's a big region, you have every type of accent and culture from the deep South, gone with the wind, oh, Scarlet, and they do have a bit of a drawl down there. It's not quite that pronounced because movies never, ever get Southern accents right. You have the Tidewater section of Virginia that almost sounds Canadian because they say about and house. And you have where I'm from, which is kind of what they call the hillbilly area, the Southern Appalachians. And we have that distinctive hillbilly twang. And when I get around my family members, you'll hear it come out, sure enough, like I'm doing right now. I don't always have it because I've had jobs where I had to speak clearly and distinctly, and sometimes the twang gets in the way of that a little bit. It's not that I'm ashamed of it. I am from the Southern Appalachians, and I'll tell anybody who asks. But every now and again, you just want to speak a little bit plainer. Anyway, on to colloquialisms. So let's go ahead and start with the best one, which is kind of a Southern staple, bless your heart. Now, bless your heart has two meanings, and it completely depends on how you say it. Inflection is important here. The first meaning of bless your heart is literally bless your heart. Like if someone says, I've had the flu for 2 weeks, bless your heart. Oh my goodness. That really does mean I am so sorry that is happening to you. Bless your heart. And you might hear, oh, Lord love it, or Lord love you. That's an alternate on that. The other version of bless your heart just means, oh my gosh, I don't even know how you remember to breathe in and out without instruction because you are clearly that stupid. It is just sort of saying bless your heart because you don't have the brains that God gave a toad. So it's kind of yeah, he forgot to do such and such, and they repossessed his car. Bless his heart, like you idiot. Or yeah, so and so got caught running around, and his wife keyed his car. Bless his heart. Or bless his little pea-picking heart. That is always the second meaning that time. Or some people will say in sarcasm, Lord love him, just like, you moron. So yes, it is a double-edged sword when you hear bless your heart. Generally, you can tell by the context and by the voice inflection. Very few people say bless your heart as in you're a moron if you're telling them about your recent heart operation. If you hear bless your heart in that context, you are probably, the person is probably saying, oh my goodness, I care about you. Bless your heart. I'm going to pray for you. Bless your heart in that context usually is followed up while I'll be praying for you, or I'll, something like that. So bless your heart is a double-edged sword. Now we're going to move on to a more controversial one. And the first time I heard this one, it was said by my mama, that is a term in the South for grandmother, mama and papa. Some people say mama and papa. So my mama was saying about someone who didn't look good, looked tired, looked kind of disheveled. She said she looks like she's been rode hard and put away wet. Well, I don't know what you're thinking right now, but that's not what it means. It refers to horses. Horses that were rode long distances and made to go fast sweated. And you cannot put a horse away just all sweaty. They'll catch a chill. You got to rub them down. And it was not good for them to put them away, like I said, while they're all sweaty. So if someone looked bad, tired, disheveled, like they'd been up all night, and Lord, she looks like she's been rode hard, put away wet. Or he looks like he's been rode hard, put away wet. Looks bad, looks tired. These days, you don't hear that much, and when you do hear it, the people who hear it generally get the wrong impression because they're not of the older generation and understand what that means. Because let's face it, not many of us are riding a horse quickly to wherever it is we're going. The next one is that dog don't hunt. And a lot of colloquialisms in the South don't necessarily use good grammar, and you're excused for that when you're using that colloquialism because it's almost like a quote. If you say something with ain't, like for example, you can say that dog ain't gonna hunt, but mostly it's that dog don't hunt. It's grammatically wrong, but it's okay to use it in that context. It's like a quote. If you say that dog don't hunt, that generally means that you have given an excuse that is bull. It's not feasible. It doesn't make sense in the context. One of the examples I can think of is if a teenager comes up to a teacher and says, "I'm sorry, Mrs. So-and-so, I didn't do my report because my grandmother died." And she looks at him and says, "Bobby, that's the 5th grandmother you've lost this month. That dog don't hunt." So, that excuse is not valid. And of course, just from the idea that if you've got a dog that don't hunt, it's useless, just like your excuse is. So the next one, my husband thinks is gross, and it is kind of gross. It like a put their hair up, but they didn't always have a hairnet. And if hair gets in a biscuit dough, it's not going anywhere. It's going to get baked in there. It's going to be in your biscuit, and it's going to not want to come out readily. You're going to pull it out. So if someone is really, really involved in something or really, really close to like a clingy girlfriend or boyfriend or that kind of thing, he's in there like a hair in a biscuit, just like right up in there. So too close, basically, is what we're saying. Too close. Let's see. I have to look at just like last time, I tend to rabbit trail, or I had a teacher in school that said bird walk. I'd never heard that, but get off subject. Bird walk. It's a new one. Let's see. I heard this one from my mama as well. My mama was from a place in very rural Virginia, a place called Copper Creek, because of the Copperheads. Yeah, that's where I want to live. And she told me this one. I was as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I love that saying because it's the best visual in the world. You can just see this terrified cat waiting for a rocking chair walker to come down on his tail. And I can't think of a better way of describing nervousness than that. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rockers. Or rocking chairs. Either way. Another one which I have always liked is like a duck on a June bug. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with June bugs are one of the funniest things that happens in the South. For one thing, they come up out of the ground. They're called June bugs because they usually come up in June, although in my area, it's in July. So my June bugs are a little late. They lose track of time down there in the dirt, I guess. They're having a really good nap. They come out, and they're a large beetle. They are just basically a beetle. And when they come out, they fly around for the purpose of mating. And when they come out, I guess they're a little disoriented because they really do just fly like drunk kamikaze pilots. They have no sense of direction. They bounce off of house walls. They bounce off of you. They bounce off of all kinds of things. I really honestly don't know how they find each other to mate because you would think they would all have had a concussion by then. But ducks, will eat insects and anything else. And I guess they eat June bugs. I don't know. I don't have a lot of ducks in my front lawn because I don't live in an extremely rural area. Do have June bugs. But like a duck on a June bug means that somebody is going to snap something up. Just boom. I'll use an example. When he found out she was single, he was on her like a duck on a June bug. Just bam, right there. or when she found out that that job was open, she was on it like a duck on a June bug. And basically just meaning on it and on it fast, because that is something that that person wanted. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see. This is another one from my mom. This should have just been called My Mama's Colloquialisms, because this is another one from hers. I haven't heard this one from anyone but her, but I included it because I thought it was awesome. And it is, God gives candy to those who have no teeth. And what that means is God gives wealth, money, whatever, to people who have no sense whatsoever. And we've seen it. I guess probably Kanye West is the first person that comes to my mind. He has a lot of candy and no teeth. In other words, he has a lot of fame and fortune, but I just don't know that he's actually using it in the best way. And I know Kanye has talked about mental illness, so don't get crazy on me on that. Let me see if I can find a better example. Don't want to get political. Don't want to get political. Don't get political. Justin Bieber. Yeah, there we go. Justin Bieber. God gives candy to those who have no teeth. We'll just leave it right there. Okay, here's another one. My mom actually taught me this one because she's actually seen it in action. Even though my mom lived downtown in the city that she grew up in, which is the same city I grew up in that time, it was okay to have domestic farm animals in the city limits. So her family had a cow and a few chickens, which actually helped them quite a bit in the Great Depression. They had their milk and they could sell eggs. But the saying is, like a chicken with its head cut off. She was running around, or he was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Basically, what that means is that when a chicken gets its head cut off, basically that has to happen before you fix the chicken. And we all know we love our fried chicken in the South. You have to cut the head off because, the head is just not something we're interested in eating. Cut the feet off too, that's a different story. Anyway, cut the head off. When the head is cut off, the nerves in the body might be a little late in getting the message that, hey, we're dead. And sometimes the chicken will flop around and even run around. And it'll eventually fall over because it will figure out, hey, nothing is sending us any messages anymore, so we'll just stop. And it is true, they do run around and flop around. So someone who's running around with no direction, someone who is, you might say that to kids who are being rambunctious, maybe somewhere in a store or something. You might say to them, stop running around like a chicken with its head cut off. In other words, mind yourself, calm down, you're getting a little crazy. Or, somebody who is a little too hyper at work, just running around like a chicken with its head cut off. It's not a particularly complimentary thing to say. It just means you're just a little too spastic and you just need to calm down. So like a chicken with its head cut off. Let's see, what else fixing. I'm fixing to do something. Now, that does not mean that you're repairing anything. It means that you're about to do something. I'm fixing to get dinner ready. I'm fixing to go to the store. I'm fixing to go to church. That means you are getting ready to, in a short time. I mean, it's happening within the next few minutes. You're going to get your keys. You're going to get in the car. You're going to go to the store. I'm fixing to go to the store. I'm getting ready. So, yeah, you're not repairing anything. Let's see. And the last one I have is a really ambiguous term, and that term is yonder. Usually used with the word over yonder. Well, over yonder, where does so-and-so live? He lives over yonder. Over yonder can be half a mile. It can be 5 miles. It can be 10 miles. It's not a huge distance. You can't say my cousins in New York live over yonder. That's not going to work. That dog don't hunt, as we would say. But it is a distance that has somewhat ambiguity to it. You could even say, hand me that pencil. Where is it? It's over yonder. And, it might be across the room. So, yeah, it's ambiguous, but you do hear yonder a lot down here, over yonder. And it's just a form of measurement, but, you have to take it in context. It could be 5 feet away. It could be 5 miles away. It's like people who say, I'll be there in a minute, and then they show up 30 minutes later, because in a minute could be anywhere from an actual minute to an hour. Same idea. You just have to take it in context. So let's see. Is that all of it? I think that is. I think I only had 10. This is not a crazy long video, but I just wanted to give some of those because I think that they're pretty awesome. I think it's sad some of them are falling out of use as people, younger people are more into urban slang, and that's due a lot to social media. And we're kind of losing those sayings. I've tried to teach them to my daughter so that she'll hear them and maybe use them. And I think they're kind of cool. They're very expressive, and I think that's a neat thing. It also gives us a little glimpse into how people lived back in the day. Both my grandfather, I didn't know my mother's parents. They were dead by the time I was born, but I did know my dad's parents. And both of them grew up in very rural areas and lived on farms and had, animals and that sort of thing. And when they moved to the town that I myself grew up in, that was like moving to the big city. Now, we're not a big city. We're around 50,000 people in our town. So, it's not tiny, but it's not huge by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that was moving to the big city, and they brought with them a lot of customs and a lot of sayings like that. And I know that when they moved to Kingsport, my dad was thrilled because that was the first indoor bathroom they had, an outhouse in the place that they used to live. So that tells you a little bit how rural that was. But yeah, they had made it big. They'd made it to the city, and they had an indoor bathroom. So yay. All right, guys. I may have another in this series if I think about something about the South that I want to talk about. If you're interested in more things about the South, I'm going to pimp out a website or a group on Facebook called It's a Southern Thing. And it is specifically about things in the United States South that are anyone from the South knows them and recognizes them and kind of laughs along. And it is laughing at ourselves because we do some, like every area of the country, we do some funny things. And it's done with love by people who are from the South. And if you're interested in that, it's called It's a Southern Thing. And I suggest you check it out because it's pretty awesome. Okay, guys, I think this is going to be the end of this video. My next entry will be written. And I've already started grinding the gears to figure out how I'm going to write it. It's going to be a little bit serious. I'll try to go back and forth. I'm sorry it was so long until this entry. I really, really, really tried to get something out before the end of March, and it just did not happen. So hopefully you'll enjoy this, and I'll get something out before, summer. All right, guys, let me find my little stop button. I'm so bad at stopping videos. I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.